welcome to edition 115 part 2 of All Killa No Filla podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn, and Kiri Pritchard-McLean. Just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because of mutual interest in serial killers. As long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them prison. And if you are watching this, I'm aware that I look like Michael Jackson. I don't know why. This is my vibe now. Why do I look like Michael Jackson?
You don't look like Michael Jackson.
I do. I look like Michael Jackson in his later years. This is what's happened to me. I don't know how this has happened.
I think you have the petite nose and the white skin of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I look like Michael Jackson. Look, let's just face the facts. I'm fine with it, but I just want to address it, all right? I know that I look like Michael Jackson, okay? Fine.
Has someone commented something underneath a video? Is this what's planted the seed?
No,
or
my
something?
sister said something and someone else did. And I thought it myself because I had to take a picture of myself for... now when you go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, you have to have photo ID, which is a load of crap.
What?
Oh, heaven forfend somebody should, give, in an act of kindness, give someone else a ticket. It doesn't make any difference, does it? Anyway, I took the picture. And then a few days later, I was going through my phone. I was like, why have I got a picture of Michael Jackson on my phone? Truth be known, I thought it was Michael Jackson's autopsy picture. That's how bad the picture was. And then I was like, I'm in my Michael Jackson era. This, I'm fine. Look, I know, I can see it myself, and I'm dealing with it. I'm just addressing it before anyone starts, okay?
I can't see it. But do you know what I think when
it's
you're saying
I'm in my
Okay, right, okay. That's probably something we need to address then if you're having the same feelings that Michael Jackson had. Do you know what, when you said I'm in my Michael Jackson era, it made me think of, do you remember Rita from Coronation Street?
Yes.
And she used to wear sort of glamorous dual-tone boxy jackets in the same kind of cut as Michael Jackson. And I remember seeing her and being like, she's got obviously the head of a very glamorous older woman. You know, she looked beautiful. She had this big ginger wig. But from sort of the neck down, it was pure Michael Jackson.
I do know what you mean. Oh, do you know, my granddad hated Rita from Coronation Street because years ago he saw her going into a bank and she was acting all, like the big I am. And from that moment, he was like, I'm done with her, can't be asked. Yeah, showing off.
I loved how glam she was. I thought she's fantastic.
You don't really get older women dressing like that now. I think, a bit of the old Frank Usher.
Oh my God.
Bit of Frank Usher.
I've got so much, as a fan, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Frank Usher. The jumper that I'm wearing now, which is sort of Harlequin black sequins with a button on satin collar. Yeah. This reeks of Frank Usher.
Bit of Frank Usher.
If you're not familiar with the brand Frank Usher, you obviously don't buy vintage sequin stuff because it's classic cruise wear. There's never not a shoulder pad.
No.
There's always sort of like a midnight black sequin somewhere, even if it's, a yellow item. Oh, and they've got a weight to them, haven't they, Rachel?
They have. I used to, when I worked at Candles in Manchester, my first job leaving school, the Frank Usher department was next to where I worked, the Wallace department, and it was... Didn't really see anyone on it. It was a very quiet department, but the women were very Frank Usher. Older women with the sequins, all that kind of stuff. Very nice.
I love that kind of... I guess being glamorous now as an older woman is a slightly different thing. It's like the pressure is to look younger for longer, maybe. Whereas when we were growing up, it was like... You want to look rich.
Yes.
Just aim to look rich,
and
like you've got 2 dead husbands.
Exactly. And I go back to this every time because when I used to, again, Coronation Street, when I used to see like Rita or I used to look at Bette Lynch because she had a leopard print and gold earrings, I used to think, wow, she must be a millionaire. That's what I associated. And my Auntie Trish, who is a very glamorous woman and has always been glamorous, she used to wear lots of gold jewellery and lots of bold things. And I used to think, is Auntie a millionaire? Is she a secret millionaire? She wasn't. She was a receptionist at Gestetner photocopiers. But but I used to think, maybe she's a millionaire. Maybe my Uncle Jack's like won the pools, Can
I tell you about something very glamorous happening in my life at the moment, Rachel?
Go for it.
I've driven over to our producer Owen's house to do this in my car, which smells of peppermint. Some people know why that is. If you're on my mailing list, you already know about this. There is at least one, but probably a family of rats living in my car. It is absolutely vile. So apparently this is... Well, because they've got in, right? They've got in. So first of all, there was maybe mice in the kitchen, which in an old house is not... I mean, I can hear them in the attic, but they don't normally have any interaction. Every now and then the cat will kill a mouse in the house, right? Oh. But then it's just like a different vibe. So I'd come down in the mornings in the kitchen and there's soap. There's hand soap, but I like a bar of soap. And the bar of soap would have enormous teeth marks in it, like comedy-sized teeth marks. And I was like, oh no. So we started to try and sort of track them down. Well, first of all, my partner went out and bought mouse traps. I then saw the rat and was like, that wouldn't even get an arse cheek in the trap that you've bought. Then I had to go to, because also we've got chickens attract rats, all this kind of stuff. It's a farm.
Is there anything that doesn't attract rats?
No, everything. If you speak to someone about it, they're like, have you been breathing in and out yet? That will attract rats.
Are you alive? That will attract them.
So we had a rat basically in our kitchen. We think we've got rid of that, but they hate peppermint oil. So the whole house smells like a piece of Wrigley's gum at the moment because they're just dousing the house in it. But then all of a sudden there was like stuff in the car. Like there was just like, oh no, has this been chewed? Chewed through a pair of very irritatingly expensive shorts that my partner had left in the boot. And we had to bin a load of stuff. And it was like, okay, fine. I think we got rid of the rat. It's nesting in the back seats. It's like going from bad to worse. It's really, really bad. And obviously because we're vegans, we can't we haven't wanted to kill it. So my partner put a humane trap in the car, got the rat, drove it 5 miles away and let it go.
Has it come back?
And well, I think it has come back because there's obviously more than one. But my worry is that they are nesting in the seats. So last night my partner poured like 2 bottles of pure peppermint oil, and
I thought you were going to say you just poured petrol in it and just set it on fire. That'll do it.
Well, it's getting to that point now. They've chewed through the wire because I didn't realise this, that the reason why rats chew through wires is because modern wiring has soy in the wire, the casing.
So annoying. Just stop being annoying.
It's going to cost a fortune. It's chewed through the wire that shows me how much petrol I've got. So I'm just fucking flying by the seat of my pants every journey I go on, basically. Yeah.
I hate them. Look, I hate them. I like them, actually. I do like them as creatures, but I will tell you now that they're just annoying. Also, I think I might be a rat because I hate the smell of peppermint. I hate mint.
Well, yesterday I was before bed because also we've got a kid with us at the moment, and you just these kids have been through a lot, and you don't want to be like, watch where you sit in the back seat, you might be sitting on a nest of rats. It just is a difficult situation. So I was pepperminting around the kitchen, and then I was spraying with it, and then I rubbed my eye.
Oh my God.
Which is one of the thickest things I've ever done. You know the feeling, you know how like alive your mouth feels after brushing your teeth? Imagine that around your eye before you go to bed. It was awful.
Weirdly, the smell of... I like chewing gum, obviously, and I brush my teeth with minty toothpaste. But I just hate anything that smells mint. I just don't like it. I would hate that. Peppermint makes me feel a bit queasy.
Yeah, I don't feel great about it. And I have barely got a back car seat left, and I'm sure it's pumping out babies in the hole that it's made. I hate
this so much. It's actually making me feel a bit ill. I don't like it in any way, shape or form. I just think, what are these rats like? They want to get about. They're living in a fucking motorhome.
Well, this is the thing that I'm really worried about, because I think they don't go in and out of it. So basically how they've got in is there's a plastic bit underneath the car called an engine shield. That is cracked at some point, probably our bumpy lane. And they've got in through a hole and got in the car. Fine, I understand that. But I don't think they go out when we start the car. I think they just go with us. So this rat has been to London. He goes to Manchester once a week when my partner's doing a course over there. But my worry now is I'm just I think too much about this thing. I got really scared the other day for the rat, because I was like, he's going to get out on like Manchester Oxford Road and he's just some Welsh countryside rat who's going to be like, oh my God, there's hell of a busy here.
He's going to get beaten up by city rats.
He's going to get battered, yeah, by all these like, all right, what you doing here, you fucking bumpkin? And this poor rat's going to get hammered in Manchester.
Look, can I just say, the Ratmobile?
No, don't call it that.
The Ratmobile. Yes, please.
Don't.
Come on.
Because
I waited. No. I waited for that, the Ratmobile.
Because weirdly, do you know that I don't know if I've told you this, my partner, you know, you've got like, you can make your Bluetooth on your phone speak to your car radio so you can play something on your listen to podcasts. So I was like, I remember when we first got the car and I was like, he said, I'll put your Bluetooth on. And I was like, what's the car called? And he was like, just staring ahead. And I was like, is it Honkmobile?
No.
And he's like, yes.
No.
And I was like, did you call it Honkmobile or did it come like that? And he's like, I thought it was a very good name for it. So yeah, the Ratmobile was previously known as the Honkmobile.
It's the rat.
And it does make me honk as it goes because the seats are full of rats. I feel like a mad Roald Dahl character driving round in a secondhand Skoda full of rats.
It's far from ideal, I would say, this situation.
Listen, and I don't play this card very often, Rachel, and only ever ironically, and even now, but like, I've been on the telly. I shouldn't be in a car full of rats.
Hey, listen, someone interviewed me the other day about something. You know, when someone talks to you as if you're rich, I'm like, mate, I ain't got any money. I'm skint. I was like, I don't know how much you think comedians earn, just because a lot of them are rich from family money.
Yeah.
I'm skint, mate. I'm cruising along on whatever's in my bank account. I'm quite happy, but I'm skint. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what people expect for us, but I think it sounds about right that comedians driving around in a car full of rats.
Yeah.
That's
genuine. It's so weird that when people do think we're much richer than we are.
Yeah, we're fucking not. And also, I think because the thing is, and self-employed people know this, because you get paid. Sometimes you get paid a lot of money in one go. That's got to last you though, hasn't it? You're like, oh, it's just got to.
And you get taxed.
Yeah.
Because you have a good year, and then you have to pay like you have a good year the next year. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. At least I want to go off grid. Speaking of which, cars. By the way, I had a refresher driving lesson yesterday.
How was that?
Fucking terrible. I mean, I thought. I mean, I'm confident in a car. I'm not one of these like I'm fine, and I do tend to go a bit too fast because I don't think I pay. It never feels like you're going fast, does it? If that makes sense, until you hit something. Anyway, but listen, in the 14 years since I've drove, things have changed, man. It's all different now. It is all different now. I was like, what is this?
What, the car or the roads?
The roads, the car, everything is different. And the lovely guy that is helping me, he said to me, he phoned me up to book the lesson. He said, yeah, the thing is, Rachel, the problem is your issue is you haven't driven for 14 years. I went, yeah, that's why I've rang you. That's why I rang you. Anyway, I enjoyed it, but it's just boring, isn't it, driving? It's boring. And one thing I did notice, I think as you get older, your brain's changed. So this is what I think. I used to be very bad at manoeuvres because I didn't have very good awareness. And I used to have this thing where I thought because the car was going backwards, I had to reverse the steering. Weird things like that. Gone now. Completely gone.
Really?
I was like, oh, that's something that's changed. I wonder if that's because your brain changes. But yeah, anyway, listen. There was the only rat in that car that yesterday was me. Did I enjoy it? I think so. We went round Epping Forest and all that.
Nice.
But it's weird because, obviously I'm doing the right thing because you cannot get into a car after 14 years and not driving.
No.
Fucking, yeah. I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
How many more are you going to have, do you think? Or are you done now?
I'm going to have a few more. No, definitely not done. But I want to get confident at it again. I mean, I am confident, but I want to be sure. There's always that thing, though, because they've got those pedals. Deep down, whatever happens, he's not gonna, you're not gonna crash.
Yeah.
But also, I want to go on a motorway. I've never driven on a motorway.
Oh, yeah, and you can because you have passed your test, yeah. I think motorways are easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we must get on. Some people are going to be losing their shit because we're not talking about these murders.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's been ages. Right. So this is, we told you all about John Martin Scripps, known as Martin. He's changed his name, actually. He's dropped the Scripps. Scripps. And so I think we're picking him up in Singapore airport, I believe.
Yes. So he's done all these various crimes, blah, blah, blah. He's travelling around. He's like your rats. Your pet rats that you have.
No, don't call them my pet
They're
rats.
Your pet rats. Have you heard Kiri's
They're my
got rats?
babies, Rachel. They're my babies.
Your babies. Now, Vanessa Lowe, who is a woman in South Africa, she has a husband called Gerard Lowe. Now, he has gone to Singapore for tech tourism. Remember those days? People would go abroad to buy technology.
I don't actually remember that.
I kind of do.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have known. Like, my parents are so like Luddites that I wouldn't have really known of anyone who would have done that.
Funnily enough, I was reading about the Luddites the other day, and do you know what I thought? They had the right idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How often do we all want to fucking smash up machinery?
But,
who is looking at Elon Musk doing a fucking Nazi salute and thinking, technology's a great thing?
Listen, I don't know if I've spoken about my new project. I don't think I have. I read a book about stopping reading the news because I thought, this is getting to me. This is wasting my time. This is stressful. I'm constantly refreshing it. Why am I doing this? And listen, my new slogan: I don't read the news. I don't go to the news. I'm getting it wrong already.
It's catchy.
I don't read the news. The news finds me. The news finds me.
Okay.
It will find me. Anything I need to know, it will find me. And boy, oh boy, it works. I have been more productive. I'm not reading... I'm not going through reams and reams of depressing stories and making myself angry. The news finds me. I did say to my mum, listen, she told me about something in the news, and I went, there you go. I don't go to the news finds me. She was like, who are you, Stewie Griffin? So I'm like, listen, the news is finding me. This is, it's coming to me. I ain't going to it. Okay?
I like that. Yeah. I have to confess, like, my partner keeps across stuff and will, I think doom scroll through stories.
Yes.
But I follow people I find interesting who have interesting takes on stuff, so I see stuff that way. And I only really properly dig into the news. This is bad to say, but when I'm on a topical show.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
When it's my job.
Yeah.
Because I am aware of what is wrong and I am trying to fix as much as I can in my world.
Oh, I'm doing
and
nothing. I don't care. Listen, my level of not giving a shit has gone up a notch. I'm out. Listen, I'm reading Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography, and I'm taking on the Fergie attitude. Listen, no one's bigger than the club, and the club is me, all right? That is my... Listen, yesterday, right, I went into the gym, and there was plenty of treadmills, and a man came next to me on the treadmill, and he fucking stank, right? What did I do? I just looked at him, turned my machine off, and moved. No one's bigger than this club. And I ain't breathing you in. So there you go. Into the new year with the Alex Ferguson energy. That is me now. I'm not messing.
Love it. I love this.
Listen, also one of my favourite people, Sir Alex Ferguson. Bet people don't think that. Love the guy. Love the guy. I think
what do you love about him?
Just love him. I just think he's great at his job. I think he's got a great attitude. I like the way he chews chewing gum. I like the twinkle in his eye. Love the guy. Love him.
Love him. Well, I'm now more intrigued about him. You've got me sold.
Listen, he's in my top 10 people.
Great.
Love the guy.
Where were we?
Yeah, sorry.
So
he's
technology on holidays?
Tourism, yeah. So he he leaves in March to go to South Africa. from South Africa to go to Singapore. I apologise. Now, this is back in the day, obviously, where, we've not got WhatsApp. We're not on our phones all the time. The news is very much finding you. This was how it was. So he leaves an itinerary with his wife, with Vanessa, to say, here's where I'm going to be. This is what I'm doing. Now, he doesn't book a hotel. Don't like that. Flying by the seat of your pants, not for me. He doesn't book a hotel. He arrives in Singapore. Now, he bumps into John Martin Scripps at the airport. And he thinks, oh, brilliant, guy speaks English. He seems to know what he's doing. And John Martin Scripps says, listen, should we check into a hotel together, save you a bit of money? He's like, yeah, why not? Well, he was last seen checking into the hotel, Gerard. And this was 5 days. He's reported missing by Vanessa, who's like, this is out of character. I can't get hold of him. I don't know where he is.
Didn't he say, I'm going to be on this plane home. I'm going to call every day. If I'm not on that plane and I miss it, this will be the one that I get. So it was so strange because he's really smart. He was a part of Mensa, which, I have a weird... I don't know, no judgment on him at all, but like Mensa obviously is like, shows you're in the, top percentage IQ wise.
Yeah, to be honest with you, can I just say, great, you know which bag of grain to leave to get the fox across, not asked.
Yeah, and also it's like, I can't think of a more, through our jobs we meet some very clever people in the most traditional senses, in terms of, most educated people, let's put it that way, who could, probably some of them are, members of Mensa. And it's rare that I think, and you're brilliant company as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I can't think of, but maybe this sounds like it's bitter grapes. Also, I think it's quite a male energy. The stats are probably even to be like, I'm going to try out and see if I am one of the cleverest people in the world, because actually that is my inkling.
I think if a woman is in Mensa, she's very likely to not mention it, because what would happen is a man would go, all right, well, how about this then? What about this problem? Solve this. Whereas if a man says it, his friends go, so I just think there's probably, women probably just think, do you know what, I don't need that. And it is called Mensa,
I wonder if it's anything to do with menses. Won't get into that. But I thought it was very indicative of the kind of person that he is, that he had planned meticulously where he was going and what he wanted and how much he was going to pay for it, and hadn't booked himself a hotel. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, just had forgotten to do that, which is how he ends up sharing with this creep.
Now, at the time, John Martin Scripps is going by the name of Simon Davis. Which makes me have flashbacks to when I worked at the library, because there was a person that used to come into the library who had a very similar name to Simon Davis, and he used to annoy the shit out of me. And I said to him once, he booked on a tour, and I said, can I take your email address? Yes, it's Simon Davis is great at yahoo.com. I was like, of course it fucking is. Simon Davis is great. This is not his name, by the way. It just sounds like this name. So, anyway.
There's someone in my life, very, very vicariously, whose email address is their name.
Yep.
And then it says, how do I do this without this person? I don't think they'll ever find out. But their email address, I've sort of, and I think their Instagram account is basically, say I am your parent. Their email address is Kiri, Rachel's mummy, and their Instagram is that handle. And here's a perfect cherry on the cake: they don't have contact with their child, and I think that's court implemented. So. It just is like, the itches it scratches in my brain of what I want to know has gone on there. Yeah.
Fucking hell. No, thank you. Not for me. They're in the room, 15:11. Now, this is 5 days later that Vanessa goes to the airport, as you say. He's not on those flights. So she's seen families be reunited and everyone's like, oh, you're back. Oh, did you have a nice time? Did you bring me a video recorder? And she's like, oh, he's not on his plane. Right, there's something wrong. She rings the police. It's investigated. They go to the room. They find out where he's been staying. They go to the room. 1511 is the room. Don't know why we need to know that. But they said the smell of death was around the room.
That's what gets mentioned on everything. Every source I've read, it talks about the smell of death, and it doesn't in the other crime scenes because he does kill other people.
Yeah.
But do you know what I think it is there's not many places that are worse to kill someone than Singapore. It's really hot. It's really humid. Decomposition happens incredibly quickly. And I think...
Oh, it's knocking me a bit sick, this.
He basically didn't... Because what he would do is, he trained as a butcher in prison. We mentioned this. He would take their bodies, put them in the bath, and he would basically, cut them up. And I just think he didn't quite do it quick enough in terms of it leaving a trace in the air, the smell, because he cleaned the crime scene. And in fact, they only found blood. It was spots underneath when they were looking on the floor of the bathroom. They saw some tiny flecks underneath the toilet bowl.
The detective actually lay on the floor to find this. Like he's in, what's that programme? But with the 4 in a bed. And go under and like, there's blood under it. Oh, there's a pube under the bed. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I love those people who are like, you literally have like a white glove and they're doing that along the, the dado rail. It is really
pathetic.
It's big little dick energy, that, yes. And I mean that as a metaphor. It's fucking...
It's not for me. I mean, I'm...
Again, never seen anyone on 4 in a bed and thought, yeah, I'd love to spend some time with them.
Yeah, exactly. Not for me. Thank you very much. So, they find some blood under the toilet. Sounds horrible, that, doesn't it? Knocking myself sick. And before this, bits of a body have been found. So Clifford Pier, which is a very busy terminal in Singapore for boats, March the 13th, a duty officer for the police finds some limbs, which wasn't uncommon, apparently, because marine accidents, people crossing the sea, sort of to get to Singapore, quite
what
grim.
Was uncommon is when they're wrapped up in bin bags, which is how they were found. So they were like floating.
Unless
and
they're
I think
having a budget Halloween and good times went bad.
It was a fisherman who saw this thing floating, and they think that it was the decomposition inside that had made them float to the top. Yeah, and so his, I think it was from the knee down that was found first, and then it was the thighs up that were next to be found.
Oh, it's making me ill, this.
It's horrible. His head is never found.
Horrible.
It's really sad.
Really grim.
Really grim.
Really grim. So then they discover that it is linked to Gerard, and obviously he's been nowhere to be found. So they're like, well, that's poor old Gerard there. So his sister sent a blood sample which matched the legs and the blood in the hotel room. So that's but without the head, they couldn't ascertain how he died.
Yes.
So Simon Davies is obviously John Martin Scripps.
Yeah, and he does a runner.
Yes, he does.
March 15th. Well, actually, before he does a runner, he very calmly takes Gerard's bank. He had like traveller's checks with him, and he had credit cards. He must have got his PIN number from him at some point during his time when he was alive, because he goes on a bit of a spending spree, doesn't he?
He does. Well, with hindsight, what we know that he did to poor Gerard was he stunned him with a stun gun, and then bludgeoned him to death with a hammer, and then dismembered him with a sharp knife.
It's like a camping hammer, it's like the one that the heavy. It's like 1.5 kilograms, the one that you would like knock tent pegs into. It was like one of those like lump hammers.
Horrible. So obviously he puts the body in luggage, and he takes his identity cards and all the rest of it. And in the early morning, he even went to he went to a concert as well. He's like, oh well, I popped to a concert actually. Well,
he went to the things I remember him buying is he went and got a camcorder he sent to his sister. He went and got some Nike socks. He bought himself some new running shoes. He bought a load of scratch cards, and then he went to the opera.
What a day! What a day! What a day.
Don't listen, I'm a man of layers. You can't put me in a box. Listen, I'll do scratch cards, but I'll also go to the opera.
I am I'm an avid scratch carder.
You are, aren't you?
I am in a constant loop of scratch cards. Constant. It's a hell that I can't get out of now.
Do you, what you're describing is a low-key gambling addiction?
Yeah, but I love it. I enjoy it. It is hell, but I enjoy it. The thrill.
Yeah, you've got to have a vice, Bo.
Oh, did I tell you about the betting shop? No. So I went into a betting shop with Tim just between the bit of Christmas and New Year, and I walked in, and the woman, 2 women behind the counter went, excuse me, have you got any ID? We just need to check that you're old enough to be in here. So I got my ID, popped it on the counter. Real hubbub. And then Tim got his ID out, and I was like, they're not asking you, mate. Can you just let me enjoy this? Do
you know what I got? I bought a scratch card for the first time in my life before Christmas. Now, my brother's got a daughter, so I've got a lovely niece, and then the other side, I've newly got a niece and I've got a nephew. Now, for the nephew, I bought them one of those things that's, you know, an advent kind of, you put presents in. So I got him one of those, and then I got 24 presents that I was sending. But I tell you what, he's like 2, so it's really hard to get a 2-year-old stuff, and they don't like, you know, they're not like a chocolatey household, so you can't just bang it full of gold coins. So, and I don't like plastic stuff, so I was like, right, get him some baubles that he can paint. That's a fun activity. I got him bubbles because kids love bubbles. You know, I got him this thing that you plant and it's in a snowflake shape and stuff comes up. But I'll be honest, by day 20, I was like, I'm running out of things to do here. And I was really scraping the barrel. And for the 24th one, I got him a Christmas themed scratch card because I was like, listen, he's going to have a lovely time scratching stuff off there. His parents might find it funny. And if he wins loads, then great. That means, you know, he's got some money put aside from him. I don't think it came through the scratch card.
My worst nightmare. Sadly. I don't know why people do that at weddings, like give everyone a scratch card. I don't want to be at a wedding. I don't want to see someone win. I can't imagine anything worse. My actual hell would be to buy someone a scratch card and then win on it.
Really?
Oh my God. I'd have to throw myself off a bridge. It would ruin my life. It would ruin my life, that. It would ruin my life. And also, do you know, my mum is an avid lottery person, and she does the odd scratch card. She's always like, when you get your scratch cards or your lottery tickets, write your name and address on the back, get it signed straight away. Because if anyone finds it, if you lose it and anyone finds it, I think what she means is if you're found dead, we can get the money.
I didn't even know that you had to fill out the back. I'd see it again.
You don't have to, but I do straight away. Get my name on the back of those tickets.
I don't even sign the back of my bank card, Rachel. I'm not going to sign a scratch
like an American.
card.
That's what Americans never used to sign the back of it. Used to annoy the shit out of me when I worked in like the gift shop at the Tourist Information in Manchester. They'd come in and they'd never sign the back of the fucking card. You know, in the days when you had to check the signature.
Yeah.
They'd always give you the card and then some ID. Piss off. Just sign the card. And it's like, it's so no one could commit fraud. Well, here's an idea. If someone nicked your card, they'd just put their signature on it and they'd have a fucking beano. So your system is flawed. Anyway, John Martin Scripps. He, do you know as well, okay, so he does this. What he does is he takes poor Gerard's body in a case to the river behind the hotel and he throws the body in there. And he checks out on March 11th. Now, he told them to delete Gerard's name off the records because he said he was gay. And
yeah, he said he made a pass at me and so I kicked him out, which they think to be utterly falsified. And it's what he told the police as well. The thing what he tells the police, we'll talk about it later, but it's the most, it's, I think, an example of someone who's never encountered a gay person.
Yeah. Yeah. Very weird.
His sort of account of what went down with Gerard.
Now, he made calls to Thomas Cook, the travel agents in the UK from the hotel, and tried to move money into an account. I don't know how that worked. That's what he did, though. The worst bit of this, and this is making me feel sick, and if I didn't feel sick before, this really knocks me sick. He used Lynx deodorant to mask the smell in the room.
Oh, my God. It's like the peppermint oil and the rats.
Do you know what? Genuinely, absolutely queasy now. That I hate the smell of Lynx. I think it's disgusting. Transports me straight back to school, you know, the boys at school with the David Beckham sort of gelled hair.
Dennis Nielsen did that as well. He put those little air fresheners in, but he used...
I can't
I'm
see
sure
those air fresheners without thinking about Dennis Nilsson.
Yeah.
The Dennis
That was
Nilsson
the
air
jelly
freshener.
in.
Yeah. The Dennis Nilsson air freshener. Weirdly as well, because obviously I'm finding somewhere else to live, a house on Cranley Gardens was suggested to me on a thing the other day.
Oh, my God.
No, thank you. Very, very good
It's a
value,
bit on the
actually.
nose, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, I mean, that would just look weird. Anyway, so Scripps, word's getting around. So word is getting around now that they're looking for this guy. And before this, we must say, he's suspected he killed a Canadian tourist and her son, didn't he?
Well, this is after. So there's actually someone he is suspected of murdering before, Timothy McDowell.
Yes.
Who he goes scuba diving with, and then Timothy goes missing. There's another guy called, he's not called William Shatner, but I always want to say, is it William Shacknell?
Yes.
That he encounters, he goes missing. He has, when he's found, he has some of their documents. So this Timothy McDowell goes missing, and then all of a sudden, thousands and thousands of pounds is transferred from Timothy's account over to Simon Davis / John Martin.
£21,000.
Which is a lot of money there
a lot now, but it's even more then.
Huge amounts back then.
You know, they think that he threw his body in a crocodile-infested river.
Yeah, crocodile-infested area.
That is,
which is so grim.
It's horrible. It's horrible. The Sheila and Sheila and Darren Damoud.
I've got plenty of info on them. May I take the reins, Rachel?
Yes, please.
So, it's March 15th, 1995. Martin is flying from Bangkok to Phuket. And he happens to sit next to a lovely couple, well, not a couple, as you say, a son and his mum on the plane. They're on the same row of seats and they get chatting. Apparently that was something he used to do, is target people, Caucasian people, because they were probably not familiar with the language and in unfamiliar surroundings. And so it meant it was easy to take advantage of them. I sort of did a deep dive on those people. So Sheila May Damoud was born May 22nd, 1945. When she passes away, which is pretty much this day, she's 49 years old. And then Darren John Damoud was only 22 when he died, and he was born November 13th, 1972. They were from British Columbia. They were travelling from a place called Saanich. Now, she had worked all her life. I found her obituary, and I did some maths as well. So they were buried along with her husband and his father, who had died when Darren was only a year old. So that meant to me, well, that's probably a mum and a son who are really, really close, right? It's basically been them since the very beginning. Also, he was a lot older than Sheila. He was 25 years. He's only 53 when he dies, the dad, Ross, but he's 25 years older than her. So
interesting.
Fair play. So she works at Canada Manpower. She's a counsellor there, and she met the father, Ross. They get married. She was really involved in local politics. In fact, she ran campaigns for provincial elections, for mayoral elections. She's really involved in the Christian community as well, very active in the church, and loved hiking and the theatre. That's what her obituary goes on to say. So they're sat there on the plane. They start talking to this guy, and he goes, "Where are you staying?" And they say, "Oh, we're staying in a hotel called Nilly's Marina Inn, which is by Patong Beach." And he said, "That's where I'm staying. Why don't we get a taxi over, and then we can save some money?" And they go, "Yeah, what a good idea." So they get the taxi over together. They're staying in room 43 and he's in 48. I think, but different sources say different things. Basically, the rooms are exactly opposite each other. And so he's like, "Great, I'll knock on later. Maybe we can go and do something tomorrow." And they were like, "Brilliant, we've made a friend." Well, I think they're just like, "Oh, what a nice, friendly guy." And apparently he was sort of very charming. So they go down and they have breakfast the next day. They go up at about 11 o'clock.
Do you know, I'd trust someone more if they started off rude and off, and then I managed to break. That's when I'd be like, "Oh, this person's fine." If they started being friendly, I'd be like, nah, something wrong with you, mate.
Oh, well,
especially being British. What's the matter with you?
My whole life is being irritable and then being rude to someone and then having to backpedal when they start actually being quite pleasant. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, I was a bit rude to start with. So they go up after breakfast. That is the last time they're ever seen alive. So he basically, we don't know what happened, but it is probably what he did with everyone else. Used his stun gun, used his hammer, and then butchered the bodies in the bath. He goes down to reception. This is about a few days past, so he's in the hotel, and he says, listen, you know the lad and the mum, they've checked out, they've gone, and I've said, we got on really well, I'm going to pay for their hotel for them. The receptionist is like, that is so lovely. So he pays for the hotel, and the body, we don't know when and how he did it, but basically about 5 days later, he flies back. Let me get the exact date. Yeah, so 19th is. So the 19th of March, he is flying back to Singapore. I don't know why he's going back to Singapore, because Simon Davis, as it says on his passport, now is on like the wanted list in connection with Gerard's murder. So he flies back to where he murdered someone. The same day, Darim and Sheila's heads are found it's horrific, in a disused tin mine. Now, 5 days after that, body parts are found along a stretch of road that's about 9 kilometres away from the hotel. They use forensics and dental to recognise them because, again, decomposition is very bad. The forensics reveal that those are Sheila's body parts. Darren's head is found, but nothing else is ever found of him.
Oh, my God. This is. Do you know what? I think this might be my limit. This might be. This is a bit much for me. Knocking me right sick.
So he lands in Singapore. He's immediately arrested at the airport. But I think we will stop at Singapore airport on our way over to Australia. I certainly did when I flew to Aotearoa.
I think we will, yeah.
Yeah. Have you been there before?
No.
It's nuts. It is amazing. It's got like a forest in the middle. It's got a train going round it. It's honestly one of the lads who was on the job, Alan, one of the other presenters, he was putting, like, I was overdue writing a script, so I just sat there for 3 hours writing the script, sat on the floor of an airport. And then I saw on his Instagram, he's on a train, and I'm like, what is happening here? He's by a waterfall. I was like, is he uploading old videos? And he's like, she's like, oh, but she's been a bloody train. There's a train in the airport. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, it goes around this forest and there's waterfalls and everything.
Oh, wow.
And I just thought, yeah, I thought he'd been in like a VR headset and hadn't realised, but it is all actually there. It's like an amazing airport, so I'm very excited to visit that.
Oh, yeah, that sounds nice.
So, yes, he arrives back. The police immediately arrest him and charge him with Gerard's murder. When he gets arrested, he breaks some glass in the airport and takes the shards and tries to make an attempt at his own life.
Get a grip, mate.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and he's then charged with criminal damage as well.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work. You've made a mess, and you've embarrassed yourself and everyone else.
Do you know what else is? This is like, you know, when, like with BTK, crime meets embarrassment.
Yes, yes.
So here's another good example. He's arrested for these murders, and they find the passports of Gerard on him and Sheila's passport and Darren's passport. It was in a money belt under his T-shirt, which is like crime meets embarrassment. I literally can't think of... I think... You know, if you were getting off with a guy and you're like, take each other's clothes off, which can be quite a hot thing. If I took his top off and a money belt was there, I would rather see an open wound full of teeth on someone's torso than a fucking money belt.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's
big dad energy, isn't it?
It is big dad energy, yeah. Yeah. Very much so.
I remember the first time we went on holiday because we hadn't really like been abroad, and my parents had travelled a lot when they were younger, but it was like different times. And my dad had like, he bought and never used. It was like a waterproof thing that hung around your neck, like a bright green one to put your money in.
Yes,
so you could.
Yes.
Do you remember?
That's very much water park sort of stuff, that, innit?
Well, my dad had no fucking, but he can't swim or couldn't swim. There's no fucking business having one of those there. I just think he thought, I don't know what he thought. He was like, right, we're going on holiday. We've got to get one of these. But he just looked mad.
I know exactly the thing that you mean. Yeah. That also, I've never been abroad with my parents. So
really?
I've never seen the foreign holiday energy that they would give off. But never been abroad with them. Although what happens is when we go on a holiday, my dad tends to leave us to whatever activity is happening. He disappears off and then comes back, manages to find us wherever we are, and lets us know about an argument he's just had with somebody. That tends to be the, you not believe this, what happened over there. I'm like, right, okay. That's pretty much what my dad brings to the table. And doesn't get involved.
So funny.
Just disappears off and comes back with a complaint.
Oh, I love that. So just goes, causes trouble with the locals, with the natives, and then goes and finds his family to tell them about it.
Yeah, and when I say natives, I mean fellow Welsh people or people in Cornwall. That's literally it. That's literally the two holidays we ever had, Wales or Cornwall. And Wales was always staying with our relatives. So, yeah, arguments with his own relatives, probably.
He knows that he's in big trouble because Singapore is one of the countries where they still have the death penalty, and I mean death penalty for being gay as well.
Yes.
And so he kind of knows the jig is up.
The jig is up, baby. Now, so as we said, he's got the passports on him. He's done his dramatic thing. He only cut a small vein in his arm, by the way, and was taken to the hospital for treatment. So they found all the credit cards. They found the, birth certificate, Simon Davis birth certificate. They found the hammer.
Simon Davis, we should say, by the way. Yeah. Simon Davis was the name of someone he was in a cell with.
Yes.
He just stole his name.
He just stole his identity.
And then he got a birth certificate for him that he paid for. And then when he was in Mexico, he went to the British Embassy and was like, I've lost my passport. And they were like, oh my God, that must be so scary. We'll get you a new one. And that's how he got the fake passport for Simon.
So they also find the zapper, what they're called, electric shock. Taser, thank you, that's the word. Kind of mace, 2 pairs of handcuffs, a pair of thumb cuffs, no thank you, 2 foldable knives, police brand, 2 Swiss Army knives, and an Ollie stone, what's that? That's a sharpening stone, yeah. And importation of these into Singapore is illegal, by the way. Also, he's just getting on planes with this shit.
Well, this is it. I can't get a pair of fucking tweezers past the security, and he's taking the taser and some thumb cuffs in.
Insane.
It is absolutely wild.
Pre-9/11.
Pre-9/11. You can put whatever you fucking want in there.
On a plane back then. You take anything on a plane.
All that, you have to have this 100 mil bullshit going on. And loads of British airports are rolling back on it because they've now either got the technology to deal with it. But they were meant to be implemented last year and then none of them have done it in time. So you still, even though you're going, but legally I'm allowed it. And they're like, but we haven't got the facilities.
Yeah, do you know why? I'll say this and I don't care. Because these people have got used to nicking shit. They're getting used to taking your perfume off you and keeping it. And I stand by that. And you show me somebody that says that doesn't happen and I will show you a liar.
Well, I know it happens because if I worked there, I would be fucking stealing everything in those bins. So honestly.
So the thing is, it's like, you can't take that on a plane, but you can take it home with you, so there's obviously nothing wrong with it, is there? You're a shower of bastards.
When the airports be like, we haven't been able to get the machines. And be like, airports are literally, when you look around, like this is such a rich organisation. To pass through it, you have to pay. Yeah. To park, you have to pay. Literally dropping someone off, you have to pay. There's shops in there with, they must pay mad floor rent. Restaurants with mad floor rent.
Don't get me started on WH fucking Smiths. When will that shop die?
It won't. It can't. It's like a cockroach.
I hate it.
Because the standards are so low and it's still alive, it means it can't ever die.
I hate the stickers. I hate the pricing system. I hate everything about it. And it is my last resort. If you see me in a WH Smith's, it is my last resort. Honestly, I hate it. And I bet that at one point was a really good shop, a really proud shop with standards. And now it's just a fucking free-for-all.
I agree. When I was growing up, there was a WH Smith on Bangor High Street, and that's where you go and you would get really good stationery. Everyone got their pencil cases from there.
Yes.
You know, like you got your Walker's Bag of Crisps pencil case from there.
Absolutely. Yes,
and it was you were literally told, right, we're going to be doing this math set. Go to WH Smith. They've got, you know, protractors. It all comes in a thing together. They had all that stuff. They used to give book tokens to my school, and that they would give out in the awards. Sure, we'd handle them by what we now know to be a prolific paedophile, but it was still a shop that cared about the community.
I think you'll find he's a prat.
He's a prat.
He's a prat.
Capital P, 2 T's. That's a reference to our live shows.
Now, he's taken to court on the 21st of March 1995. Initial charge naming him as Simon James Davis and accusing him of forging Lowe's signature on a bank card to obtain $6,000 in cash on the 9th of March. 3 days later, as he's been found out, he's charged under his real name, John Martin Scripps, for the murder of Gerard Lowe.
It's because they go and get the records from the United Kingdom about him, and they're like, he's in prison. That's not him. And that's when they find out he's not who he's saying he is.
Yes. So then the 18th of September, 2 days after my birthday, for your little date for your diaries there, this is where there's an inquiry in a district court to determine whether there's enough evidence to proceed to trial. Yes, I would say so, and I wasn't even involved. Now, the magistrate overseeing the inquiry, he ordered him to stand trial for Gerard Lowe's murder on the 2nd of October. And they had...
Would you like me to take it from here
please,
and talk trial?
Please. I hate it.
So 1995, this is 2nd of October. He speaks to his mum and his sister before the trial. They sort of remain kind of loyal to him in a familiar way. You know, his mum was like, this isn't who I know, and basically blamed the prison system for how he had turned out. Now, he didn't enter a plea. He did a thing called claiming trial, and that means in that legal system that I don't agree with the charges. I think the charges are incorrect. So it's not saying no guilty. It's just a different thing. So this is where they bring in James Quigley, who is the guy who worked in the Isle of Wight with him and taught him how to be a butcher. This is the guy that I've just got. Just the only positive story is some prison guard in the Isle of Wight has had a lovely trip to Singapore.
Do you know what? I've had a lovely time. Thank you so much.
So he talks about the deboning course that he did in 1993. Now, he says to the judge, listen, he's incredibly quick learner and he had a genuine talent. The pathologist came around and said, these bodies, the way they were disposed of, it could only have been a vet, a surgeon or a butcher who did it. So a massive piece of evidence. Now, he says, they say, what happened? And he said, okay, well, what happened? A vet. I know that's weird, isn't it? But I guess vets do surgery, don't they?
Yeah, I mean...
But I don't think I guess they must amputate things every now and then. Do you know what? It's just a bit of queasy enough conversation.
Yeah, let's not get involved.
So his whole defence was, well, he had two prongs to his defence. Number one, that he had woken up because his buttocks were being touched.
Right. This is, yeah, I'm sorry. Look, that's what he thinks gay men do. Touch each other's bums. That's right.
Yeah. It literally is, isn't it? That's what I said. It's like someone who's never met a gay guy.
He's tickling me bum.
Yeah, so he's like, my buttocks were being touched and I awoke. And then he said, and Gerard was standing over at me smiling and he had no top on. And he's like, I panicked and there was a scuffle and I don't really remember what happened, but he banged his head. And then there's this whole elaborate story. He says, I'm not a homosexual. And at that time it appeared to me that yeah. And at that time, it appeared to me that Mr. Lowe was a homosexual.
Homosexual who touched my buttocks.
He says, I freaked out, I kicked out, and I started swearing. He says, I've had experience of such things in the past, and as a result, I was very frightened. That's what he said. It's all absolute bullshit. He was just murdering people indiscriminately.
God, I'm so scared of getting sucked off. Said no man ever.
But also, do you know what pisses me off so much about this? In 1995, you could probably go, well, he was gay and that's why I killed him, and it would have been a decent defence, particularly in a country...
Particularly in Singapore, where it's not allowed. So
exactly.
he could say, hey, listen, I'm going down to reception, get this guy arrested. He's touched me bum.
Exactly. So that was one part of his defence, is that it was self-defence because he was touching my bum. And now the second part is he goes...
It wouldn't
so
like
what
the
I
cheeky
did
girls, would it?
Who does?
Touch my bum. Well, that was it, wasn't it? Touch me bum.
Touch my bum, it feels nice.
This is life.
Do you remember when one of them was married to former Lib Dem MP? Lembit Opik, yeah.
What a weird time.
What a weird time.
I'm queasy enough. Don't bring Lembit Opik into this. What a way to find out you can't say his name. Look, again, stop making me sick.
So what he says is, so Martin phones, he says, what I did is I phoned this British guy that I've known for about a decade, 8 to 10 years. I tell him what happened. He went, don't worry, I'm going to deal with it. So he goes to the hotel room and he deals with it. But I don't know what happens. I just know that he dealt with it for me.
Okay, yeah.
And they were like, right, well, give us the name. And he went, I would love to give you the name, but he's a very dangerous man and he will harm my family if I tell you who it was who did chop them up and dispose of the bodies. The only thing I can tell you about him is that he worked at an abattoir.
Okay, cool.
And he was staying on a tidal island nearby. And they were like, okay, this guy does sound made up. They also found a load of documents in his stuff where he was practicing forging the signature of Gerard, which he can't actually do. So what he does is he kind of forensically removes the ID with some tweezers from Gerard's stuff, puts his own picture in, and then using rubbing alcohol rubs off the signature and then puts his own in. Oh. But first, before that, he thought it was just easier to try and do Gerard's signature, but he couldn't. Also, that is such a mad system that we had that, like, oh yeah, if it's a signature, it's definitely the right person, because signatures are easily forged. Yeah. And also, who can tell? Who checks?
I know. Stupid.
So he goes on this mad shopping spree, as we know. The camera to the sister, all this stuff, these Nike socks, new speakers, all this stuff. He says, I don't remember any of that. And it's like, they were like, you're on CCTV, literally going on a spending spree with it was about $8.5 grand's worth of cash that he drew out. Blimey. And he went, I don't remember. He said, do you know what? I was just dazed and confused for the whole time. I don't really even remember what happened in the opera. So
give over, mate.
Then he says, I don't actually think I did do that. I think if I remember correctly, I just went drinking with a British person.
Yeah, that sounds
plausible. And they were like, yeah. The first believable thing he said. Yeah, he says, I went drinking with a British person, and the problem is I've got dyslexia, and that's why I can't remember, which is, I think, there's definitely is form of neurodiversity. Obviously, there's processing issues, but I just think, like, I've got dyslexia, so I forgot I went to the opera. I'm just not sure.
He's getting dyslexia mixed up with amnesia there, which is probably a very dyslexic thing to do. I mean, there you go. The guy had dyslexia.
So the evidence, they try to submit the evidence for Sheila and Darren's murder, and the court says, no, we don't want that to happen. We want it just to be...
We're busy.
Which means that... Say again?
We're busy. We ain't got time.
We've got enough on, actually. So we're now at November the 10th, 95. And he is... he is found guilty. He says and they have the death penalty. Ugh. Of this, gruesome. He says, they sort of say, how are you feeling? And he said, and this is a quote from him, karma is karma, it's in God's hands now. Well, God found him guilty. And it's very weird. His mum gives one of the, and like this is obviously pure grief, but so her son is found guilty and sentenced to death. And her quote on this is, I brought him into the world. I'm the only person who has the right to take him out of it. I can't believe my boy could have changed from a kind human being into the monster I've heard about. Now, I definitely agree with the second part, but are you saying I'll kill him?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like she's volunteering.
Has your mum ever said that to you? My mum said it to me.
No, she's never said it to me, which suggests that she isn't my biological mother.
Yeah, my mum said it to me. My mum also has this thing of, like, we speak all the time. Very rarely does she ring me, though. And she says, I've done my time. I've brought you up. You can ring me. All right, fucking hell.
I've done my time. That's so funny. Also, didn't you grow up with your grandparents?
Yeah, I mean, she was there as well. I'll give her that. She did put a shift in. Do you know what I mean? Listen, let's not complicate this relationship. Listen, if I brought that up, if I said that to my mother, my life would be over. She would actually murder me.
I would like to say, if you are listening, Rachel, I'm not saying that you didn't bring Rachel up. We haven't met, and I don't want you to hate me.
She would, absolutely. If I said that to my mum, my life would be over. She would murder me. And rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting to the end of 95. Yeah. He is found guilty, so he's just waiting to be executed. Yeah. Now, he has an appeal. Now, his appeal is on the beginning of January 4th, 1996. He withdraws his appeal.
Oh?
He's held in solitary on death row. He declines to seek a pardon. He doesn't seek clemency. So he doesn't say to the British government, step in here. He was like, they said, do you want to do this? And he said, no, not interested in doing it. Scotland Yard fly over and interview him because they think that he murdered Timothy McDowell. They also think that he murdered William Shacknell as well.
There's probably more as well that we don't even know about.
Potentially, yes. But also there was stuff with William was far more threadbare, and it could just be a case of they're like, right, we can get a few off our list if we say it's him. So he is, what's that? Oh yeah, so Timothy was the one who they met in Belize, is it? Am I saying it correctly? Yeah. And he dumped the body, but not before transferring loads of money. So he spends his final days on this earth writing poems to Maria, his ex-wife, in Mexico. Go. Yes. The cell he's in is 8 foot by 6 foot. There's no windows. The light is on 24 hours a day.
Oh, good.
He sleeps on a straw mat, and the toilet is a hole in the ground, and there's a camera permanently in there watching him. It's quite a grim way to see out your final months. Now, on the 19th of April in 1996, he is executed. He's hanged at dawn. I don't know why they do that. There's no need to do it at dawn.
No. Well, get it out of the way. Feels a bit get on with the rest of the day.
You would do it any time then. Do it like 2 o'clock. It just feels a bit dramatic to be like, we're going to do it at dawn.
Yeah.
It just feels a bit like, I don't know, it's a wellness retreat vibe. His lawyer he fell out with his lawyer as well. So his lawyer didn't find out until the family told him. And a government can ask for clemency on behalf of a prisoner. And it was put to Michael Howard, and he went, yeah, I'm not getting involved in this. So they could have overruled him and gone, you're not killing one of our British citizens, but they didn't. He becomes the first Westerner executed for murder in Singapore. So he would have been woken up, how it worked is woken up about 3:30 in the morning. He would have been taken to the chaplain to speak, or there would be various different religion, sort of like imam and some stuff like that. So taken to the chaplain, and they don't have public executions there. So the gallows are private, and they always do the hangings on Friday mornings, and the gallows holds 7 individuals, and they do the pier point method of a measure and drop. So they would sort of like, all 7 of them would be dropped at the same time.
Fuck me, that's gross.
Do you know what is this is all horrific and awful. His last meal is he has a pizza and a hot chocolate. I can't think of anything worse to have in my belly going to my death.
What I will say,
it's not a combo.
What I will say is, I do drink hot drinks with most food. So look, it's not soup and a beer. I'll let him off on this.
I just think, the feeling now of imagining, and I'm someone who likes both these foods, pizza and hot chocolate in my belly at the same time.
It's a bit gross.
It's making me feel unwell. I'm getting thin spit from it. And when you move, have you ever done it when you move and you've drunk too much liquid, you feel like a hot water bottle?
It's gross.
Imagine sloshing your way up to some gallows with 6 other lads.
I
just think...
I do drink tea with a McDonald's though, so...
Ugh. Well, I'm not saying it's the worst choice he made, but it's certainly amongst them.
It's not, it's not ideal. Yeah.
I've got a final note to this love story.
Yeah.
So he is cremated. His ashes are sent to the UK, where his sister and mum received them. Maria finds out the same day it happens, probably because it's on the news.
Maria finds out because everything's gone a bit quiet.
Yeah, it has.
Oh, bit of peace.
Because I think one of the murders, they think he killed people in Mexico as well when he was hassling Maria.
Clearly did, I reckon.
So she says, I knew this would happen. I just wasn't expecting it now.
Ah.
So she was like, I knew it would end up like this.
Fair play.
And yeah. But it just, again, is just like people, I think they went and got, like, reporters went and got, and were trying to get an interview and get a comment from her. And you're like, just let this woman. She was only with him for 3 years. And this is years and years later. She's, probably in her 30s by this point. It was a relationship she was in when she was, 17 to 20. Like, let her live her life.
Let her move on. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
So that's him. So that's John Martin Scripps. What a rotter.
What a shithead.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm on tour. Come and see me on tour. RachelFairburn.com. Come and see us in Australia.
Mm-hmm. And New Zealand's on sale now as well. So we're doing solo shows all across Australia. And then New Zealand, we're doing the all Killa shows, which is really exciting.
Yes.
It's selling great as well.
Yeah. Exciting.
I'm tentatively excited. So yeah, it's gonna be fab. Is there anything else to plug? I think that's about it, really.
That's it, really. Oh, I've started a short story podcast. It's available wherever you get your podcast. It's called Harper Vale, and it's all weird short stories that I've written. So have a listen to that if you want to.
Oh, love it. Oh, that'll be really good. And I was about to plug Best Medicine, which you can listen to, which is a really lovely show that I do for BBC Radio 4. That's on wherever you get your podcasts. And also Kiri's Comedy Club for BBC Radio Wales.
Yes, lovely. Oh, and Glad Rags, the podcast that I do with Paul McCaffrey, that's out as well. Have a listen to that. Look, you know where you can find things.
We just love the audio medium, don't we, Rachel?
Oh, my God. What? Stay at home.
Which we should say. Actually, huge thank you to people who donate to the Patreon. We really, really appreciate it. There's never any pressure to. I mean, the fact that we forget to mention it, I'd say other than 1 in every 10 episodes.
Yes.
But if you're watching this, it's the people who do the Patreon who pay for all this and pay for our equipment and stuff like that. That's why the podcast sounds and looks better now, is we've been able to invest into it.
Yeah,
so
that
really
some
appreciate
people
that.
Whinging on it. And may I say, a big thank you to Owen, our producer.
Huge thanks to Owen, who there was a very tender moment earlier where his beautiful cat, he's got a lovely white cat, was sat over here and having a bath. And Rachel was like, look at the cat. And then what she saw, like a child, was Owen come in and snatch the cat out because he's like, well, if I have to edit anything, the cat's going to be in weird positions.
So I was just thinking, isn't that lovely? Like, the cat will be in the background, ain't that nice?
And the cat was like carried out the room as Rachel sort of welled up.
But thank you. That's it. I've got to run. I've got to be out of here in a sec. So thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for being you.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks for being Michael Jackson, Rachel.
Hee hee.